Hey, everyone. It is the Let's Get Loud podcast with Jane. Hi, Alicia.
Hello.
I actually listened quickly to our last podcast. It was really good because I got a few messages from people I didn't know that listened to our podcast. So,
Oh, okay.
hello, listeners. That I literally talk to you sometimes, and I'm like, I feel like I can say whatever I want here versus like my stories. I just like sometimes I'm like, ugh, like who's watching and what are like I'm more nah. But like this, I'm like, let's go. I'll just be like whatever, and then I'm like, I'm not sure if people are even listening, but apparently they are.
I also feel the same
You
way.
feel the
It's
same
just
way?
like,
It's
yeah,
different.
even when I do a solo podcast, I'm just talking and it's like it just goes out into the world. And then I'm like, oh, wow, someone listened to that.
Yeah, it was really good. It was about setting goals versus seeing progress. We talked a little bit at the beginning. Anyways, I listened to it and I was like, oh, I really enjoyed that conversation because someone sent a message like, oh, that was a good conversation about like not being perfect and how you just have to show up, like just show up. And also the message out there of like just the like cookie cutter, not cookie cutter, but like this like combo, perfect combo of how to do things. And that we're kind of like, I've heard this a few times on social media, which is fun, like cock blocking yourself. Like there's this girl I follow and she's very vulgar and
Okay.
I like her.
Okay.
Anyway, she's like, you're cock blocking yourself by whatever. And I was like, that's literally what we're doing when we're saying like the all or nothing, or we're like, it's not worth it. And just like that we're like if it, what is it worth, like if I do it once, like is it really going to make a difference? I'm like, at the end of the day it's the accumulation and it's for that one day you wanted to do it, you know. Anyways, it was a good one. If you didn't listen to it, you should listen to it.
I also saw that you were talking about consistency on Instagram
Yeah.
yesterday, and it seemed like people were enjoying that topic.
Yeah, they were. So it was like, why do you think people are struggling with consistency? A few things that came up was like, they're doing things that they don't want to do. And I'm like, it's so interesting. I'm like, of course, like, yeah. I think we need to kind of put into perspective, not just like that we can't be consistent with, why can't we be consistent with a certain action? And I think sometimes we're too like, it needs to be this one thing, whether it's like walking, running, CrossFit, spinning. And we're so like, I need to be consistent with that. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I think it's more like a la base, like moving your body. So like
Yeah.
today could be walking, tomorrow could be something else, but you're being consistent with moving your body.
Hmm.
So I think we're trying to be consistent with like too much of the like
Too
same,
rigid.
yeah, and the same thing. And I'm like, it should be more of a like a values thing, like
Yeah.
moving your body or feeling good or, and then you just be consistent doing whatever that day that feels like you want to do it. Also saw this post where it's like 80% of the time you won't want to work out, but you still have to. And I was like, eight, pardon me, like 80% is a high percentage. I'm
I
like,
know.
no, you should be changing whatever you're doing for workout if you don't want to go 80% of the time. Hello.
I always like struggle with that message, and I mean, I don't feel that way, but then I think back to like maybe when I was first starting
Yeah.
habits. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But so here's the message I think that's important. When you're starting to create a new habit, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
Not, you know what I mean? Not like you're not going to want to exercise. It's not
Yes.
about the exercise, it's about that you're creating a new routine, and that's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you should be ever like dreading over and over and over what you're about to be doing. Like
Agreed.
you know what I mean? I think we're just like normalizing a little bit in society, like dreading everything, like dreading coming home to your husband. It's normal. 80% of the time you don't want to come home. No, that's not normal. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, we're really normalizing kind of like being meh about our life. And then we create coping mechanisms to just deal with life because life is hard. And I'm like, life is hard, but like, I think we're making it a little bit, I think our culture has made it a little bit more mindset wise harder. Like there's also like gratitude every day and joy every day. You know what I mean? With the simple things. So
And
there's
everyone can choose what feels good to them as well. Do you know what I mean? So like some people, like for some people, they need to want to do something 100% of the time.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But some people are like okay with only wanting to do it 80% of the time,
Yeah.
the other 20 relying on, their habit or whatever. But it's like it's such a personal thing.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, si t'es bien. If you're good,
Yes.
I mean, if you're good, you're good.
Yes.
I think it's just more the like the message out there that that is like what it should be like. And it doesn't have to be like that for someone. It's almost
Mhm.
like you should be, eating whatever this and this, and like if that's what you want, but if like, like let's not, I think it's more allowing people to kind of do their thing and kind of progress their way also. Like not just like staying put, but like progressing their way and be like, "Oh, I didn't used to think that way. Now I think this way." Speaking of progression, so I just like woke up to kind of like a message from a stranger. Um but from the area, know what I mean? But just like not someone that I know personally or whatever. And it was like it's like a negative message. I'd say negative maybe.
Okay.
Definitely not positive.
Okay.
But for me, so it's not whatever the message was about, ça m'appartient, like that's for me to deal with and whatever. But it's more the like, there's two things here that is like the thing. The it's sending a message to a stranger about your perspective of either their life or their values or what they stand for, whatever, with what you see on the internet. So I think that that's really important that you recognize that people that are on the internet, like you and I, if you have chosen to have a private life on the internet, yay, you, like good for you. That's how you've chosen your life. Alicia and I have chosen a different path of not being so private about our lives, and they're on the internet. And I think that you think you know everything that we are and who we are and kind of what we're working on, and just I think that that was the part for me that I'm like I wanted to like explain my person, like I wanted to explain what I stand for and whatever. And then I'm like, I also am really the person that deals with more like not answering. So I'm more of a like, let's not, let's just nothing. So I'm not going to answer this person. So, I mean, if you're listening, I will not be responding. However, I just feel like that's the part that really, I think the message for me today for our listeners, if you have chosen to have a private life on the internet, just know that the people that you're watching, you do not know every part of like what they stand for and what they kind of do. And to send a message to like question it without like, I wouldn't mind if we're in a setting, you and I and some friends, and they're like, hey, I'm wondering this about what I see of you online. Can you explain this to me? And it's a friend, like someone that's like, I see that you're like kind of like doing this. Like, is this something that you are working on? Is this something that you are whatever? And then like you can have like a real, you're trying to learn more about me, right? So that was one piece of the conversation that I wanted to bring there. Because I
But
told
even a real person in real life that is your friend, you don't need to explain yourself to anyone.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
And what I think is missing for people sometimes is you might see some of our actions, but you also don't know the intentions behind all of
Yeah.
our actions,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. And then the other part is thinking, okay, so one part of the message is almost like blaming me, what I do, for someone else's like results or damage or whatever. And I'm like, we need to realize that like we need to like just own all of our like je ne suis pas en charge de la vie de
no,
personne d'autre.
nope.
And so I think that like at the end of the day, whether it is like anything related to your weight loss or whatever, we need to realize that like all of our traumas and damage or whatever come from when we're little, and we need to, there's so much we need to work on. And it's not this like one thing or this one message or this one whatever. And I just feel like that's really important as well, to just be like, if something triggers you, it is not that person, like it's not that person that triggered it. So now it's their fault, or they're a part of the problem. I think that at the end of the day, and maybe they are, there are multiple things on the internet that like, I'm like, you are damaging people. But I don't send messages because I think that people need to figure out their shit to choose a different path if they want to as well. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? So it's just like
And
that part
that's
really
the
got to
thing
me.
is even when we see someone that we think is damaging on the internet, it's really not for us to decide that.
No,
Like
because at the end of the day, like I don't know. You know what I
and
mean?
honestly, it is for people to decide if they want to be a part of that person's world and that person's content. Like
Yeah.
we need to be our own critical thinkers here. We need to
Critical
take
thinking.
charge and be
Yeah.
like, actually, that message doesn't connect with me, so I'm going to unfollow. Like
Yeah.
everyone needs to be in charge of themselves.
Yes. And I think that also like just not knowing the whole picture is really the message. You do not know the whole picture of what you
Yeah.
see on the like the whole picture is not there. It is not
Yeah.
there. And so that is really important as well, like to just remember that. But yeah, so that's like just the annoying part of the gig.
It is an annoying, it is hard. And I like to think that I'm really tough when it comes to stuff like that, but stuff does
Yeah,
bother
it
me.
gets you, yeah.
It does get to me. It
Yeah.
doesn't stick with me forever or whatever. But and some things more than
But
others,
that's
you
okay.
know.
Like it makes you progress. Like obviously, I'm like, okay, that I needed to read that, trying to teach me something, and whether it is about me, like I'm not saying like I'm not changing. I'm just saying that there are also ways to, yeah, there are other ways. But I think everything that we kind of go through or whatever, it is for a learning purpose, and just like you can learn left, learn right, and then it kind of just all adds up. But I think, yeah, I think just because our listeners would be people that are on the internet, probably not showing their whole life. So it's like just another side here of the plate. No.
Mm,
Um, and I think just not show knowing how upset you can be about things, like I am upset about this, you know? I would be more like, I am upset about this. Why? And then,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, why is this
Yes.
getting to me? Like, there's something there. I don't think I'd be like, I'm very upset. I need to tell this person, I don't know, this stranger that I'm upset with, whatever. I would just be more reflective. And then I'd be like, how can I, like, we are upset by certain things that are on the internet regarding weight loss. And we go by, and now we want to show our way and what our
Yeah.
values are and how we would like to help people lose weight.
Yeah.
And so we created a business, we create content, we whatever, you know what I mean? And also please allow people to evolve. Like allow people to evolve. This is 2 weeks that shit is being said on my social media. And it's like, I am allowed to evolve. I am allowed to change. I am allowed to like have not this as a value and then it is now. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
again, that is like in your private life, you are also doing that.
I actually hope everyone's
Well,
evolving.
that's actually being human. Just FYI, everyone, human is growing and evolving and changing. And I think that like we need to be respectful of that and not be like, oh, this is, you know, like I followed people and then all of a sudden they're religious.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, you weren't religious when I started following you and you
Yeah.
weren't talking about God and now you are. I just am like, oh, this is no longer my deal. We
Yeah.
all evolve. And then all of a sudden, this person, like we all have seasons of our lives. Like maybe you don't want to follow us anymore. Like you guys are listening to it. So you're definitely following us. But like, you get what I mean? Like, I'm like, maybe it's no longer where you align. Maybe you're
I know.
thinking and you're like, I don't want this
And
conversation.
and maybe people are somewhat triggered when people do evolve because maybe they are not at like moving through as quickly.
You're right.
You know, like I was
For
not
sure.
worried, but like I've changed a lot in the last couple years. Like I've gone from being the head drinker to not drinking a lot. Like
Right.
that's such a like little thing, but it's kind of a big thing.
It's kind
And
of a big thing because it was a big part of your like identity and like kind of like your connection with your followers. Like we drink, like we're,
big
you know what I mean?
time.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you don't want that anymore, you know? So
And are people annoyed when I talk about not drinking, why I don't drink as much anymore? Like, is that annoying, you know? Are people
yeah,
like upset? And or if you're triggered by me choosing to not drink, I think that's a little bit something that's going on within.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's also sometimes a connection that we no longer have. So they had a connection with you in
Yeah,
regards to like you guys were head drinkers. And it's like,
yeah,
doesn't drink anymore. And that's totally fine. Go find another
yeah,
head drinker if that's what you're looking for.
yeah,
And that happens in real life relationships. I'm sorry, you're not in a relationship with Alicia and I.
yeah.
Like you're not like you know what I mean? Like real life relationships that happens. And
Hmm.
so like it's that like, you know, growth. And I think that is so aligned with us. Like personal development is aligned with us. It has always been what we're about. It has always been about like being your true self. And that is not at 22 years
No.
old or 30 or whatever.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I think it's very aligned with what we've always kind of put out there. And we're also so authentic with like, hey, now I like this and I'm fine with it. And I think that's the beauty of authenticity as well. And
Hmm.
yeah, so that's what's up.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so I just got back from Mexico, you guys, and I read this book while I was there in 2 days, which I don't read books in 2 days. I'm not that person that like reads a book in 2 days. I read a book to fall asleep. So it takes me a year to read a book because I read one page a day. So I don't like spend like that's not how I would spend like my free time. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm there. I decided that it was 4 days of doing literally nothing. I sat on the same chair with the same crow that would come and see me every day. It's the
And
same.
like Jeff was busy, so it's not
Yeah,
even like you had Jeff to talk to
exactly. No.
or
And
at.
yeah, or yeah, at exactly. And the girl, there was one girl that I connected with who was another wife. And she also had a book to read. She was reading Colleen Hoover, which I'm a big fan of. Like I've read all the Colleen Hoover books. So I was like, oh my God, this one's a good one. So we did. So she finished her book. So the last day we did chat the whole day. We gossiped the whole day. But the first 2 days I finished my book. And you know, when I talked about let them and I said, I'm sorry, I'm like dying. I don't know what's happening with the air in my my throat. Um, okay, so you know when I said I read Let Them and I didn't talk shit about Mel Robbins, but I did like just say like okay, Mel Robbins. Well, just so you know, there's actually like a side of the internet that's very much like I think about Mel Robbins, but there's
I
also a
feel
side
the
of the
same
internet.
about Mel Robbins.
What?
I feel the same about Mel
Oh,
Robbins.
okay. So there's a side of the internet that was like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one that's like, calm down. Like, you know what I mean? Just because she has like, I, again, like even when I do my conferences, I always start and it's about like, prioritizing yourself first, giving a little bit of advice on it. I'm like, there's nothing I'm going to say today where you're like, didn't think about prioritizing myself first. Like, she just like the way she acts when like people say things like exercising is really important. She's like, really? Tell me more about that. I'm like, Mel, like, you know this already. Like, everything's been said, you know? It's more sometimes you're at a space where the participant, the person listening, is at a place of like, I am listening. So I
Yes.
think that a side of the internet is like, fucking Mel, mind blown. Like I am listening. And they've never heard of fucking letting people do their shit and having critical thinking. And you know what I mean? And then us, we've been working on this for a long time. Like it's just been whatever. So I get annoyed, which I don't like saying that, but I do get annoyed sometimes with certain self-help books where I'm like, oh, okay, like repeating themselves over and over in the book. This girl, this was not the case. Like it was always like it always kept me going. Very simple writing. Also, they're trying to be fancy sometimes in self-help books, and I'm like, I just need the basic English over here. Just like good stuff that I can really like be like, I like this. I understand these words. Um, like even like Tom's book, like Tom is obviously comme un intellect là, like he's like a so like when he writes, I'm like, oh, I
Intellect.
really need to like reread the thing, and he's obviously like it's almost like coding. I'm like, what is he trying to say? Like, what does that mean? So this was not like that. So ça se lisait bien, let's just say. And I
Okay.
wasn't like, oh, she's repeating herself. It's called The Mountain Is You. And it is, I think her main focus is self-sabotage. And I was like, for sure was going to recommend it to at Your Weight Loss. So I was going to make a post about it.
Yeah, that's a big conversation that we have often with our
At Your
members.
Weight Loss, for sure. Self-sabotage is a big one. And I was like almost afraid that I was going to be annoyed by it or not really interested in it because it was about self-sabotage. And I don't connect to self-sabotaging. Like we all self-sabotage. I'm not saying that I never self-sabotage, but it's just not like at the peak of what I need to work
Yeah.
on, I guess.
Yeah.
But ultimately it was like a lot about like alignment, authenticity, and just all of those things that are hiding behind self-sabotage, right? Like the real reason why we're self-sabotaging, which I know I like the deepness of it. But again, it was deep but clear and simply said. And so anyway, so highly recommend that, you guys. I thought I'd mention it on the podcast. And then she apparently has a million books. She has 10 books, a million followers on Instagram. I'm like, man, like I didn't know about this girl.
What
I
is her name?
Brianna, I want to say Weist because there's an I, but it could be West written differently. So
Bree.
Brianna. So Brianna or Brianna, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then Wiest. So Weist, West. So yeah, it's a very pretty lady. And she's doing her thing.
See her.
Yeah,
She's
you see her.
beautiful.
She's gorgeous.
1 million followers. What's her story? Like, how did she like?
I don't know. But there's clearly a lot there because obviously the fact that she can write like 10 books about like shit like that. You know what I mean? Like clearly depth in her, or there's either maybe like a she does talk about rock bottom,
Okay.
which is an interesting topic in itself. But I would love to learn more about her. Anyways, her new book is called, oh, she changed her whole thing. Like her, this week, it wasn't a semblance of a whole, of the whole was
Oh,
not.
like her bio?
Yeah, her bio has changed since last week. So it was like, "Well, read my new book, The Life That's Waiting." I was like, oh, she has a new book. See, she shouldn't have changed that because a person like me wouldn't know that she has a new book. And now I've ordered her book. So her new book is coming in the mail today, Amazon Prime.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know what that one's like, but I just because I like her writing, I need to
Yeah.
find someone that I like your writing. Like Colleen Hoover, love it. I know that I'm gonna enjoy her book. And then I try another one. I'm like, what is this? It's weird, huh? You get so attached with the way they write.
It's like when you're
Um,
watching a show. Like
yeah,
I have the perfect level of like, I don't want to have to really pay attention. I don't want depth, no harm to children at all.
ever.
Like I can't.
I actually
No.
want zero negativity now. It's like I can't even
Yeah.
watch like a thriller. Know what I mean? I'm like, oh, it's just too much. There's stress. When people listen to podcast Dateline,
Oh my God. Okay, there's this woman, she's a member. She walks alone, sometimes in the woods,
and
listening to murder podcasts.
she likes that. Like that's what she likes.
I mean that she does it, so I'm assuming she likes it.
Ah. Okay, so I want to say this one thing about the book. One thing that I was like, ooh, I needed to read this was I have this thing lately where I obviously I think that we kind of manifest like what we think about kind of happens if we put in effort, like just like that. Like that's kind of my vibe. That's my energy. And so sometimes I have negative thoughts. Like it's all good for positive thoughts, but if you have negative things that you're thinking about, you're like, is that the universe telling me that this is going to happen? And so then you fucking panic. So I have, and then you go into a spiral of worrying and you're like, don't think about it. And then I'm like, and then rational thoughts. That's not how life works. You know what I mean? So I have this thought of like, again, children being harmed. Like I can talk about death. I can talk about a lot of things. Do not talk about my children dying. Like that is like I can't yuck. Like I can't. So it's like for me, I'm like, and then I have these thoughts, and I'm like, is this the universe telling me that something's gonna happen? And is it preparing me for whatever? And then I was talking to Cindy, my like spiritual friend, and she was like, that's not how it works. But anyways, in this book, she is saying, you're not a fucking psychic. Like that's not how it works. Like
Okay.
because you have a thought of
Yeah.
something and you have a worry doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it, it's just like any other thought doesn't make it true. Like any thought doesn't make it true just because you have a thought.
Yeah.
So that kind of like she explained the difference between psychic and that we're not, and that you're probably not, she said, and which I am not, versus just, the thoughts and the fears. And that's what happens. It's a fear. So because
Yeah.
it's a fear, it just has a lot of space in my brain. And because I think of it, I think I'm like manifesting it, which is ridiculous. So I think that I needed to read that. So she talks about different things. That's not self-sabotage for me. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I
Right.
am in a way. So it's very much understanding your thoughts, your worries, your anxiety, and all of that. So that's why I'm like, oh, our members could really benefit
Big time.
from, and you know what? Like you can have so many conversations and they're related to your lack of not being maybe successful with weight loss or being unhappy in your body and all of that. And then there's like life. And I think that like that is more the issue at hand, that the symptom of obesity is, I think obesity is like almost a symptom of all of those things of trauma and alignment and happiness and all of that. So that's why I always say like you need to like heal at the same time. I know we're talking about calorie deficit. I know that like, but you losing weight like doesn't really matter to us. Like what is important is that weight loss can be a byproduct of all the shit that you probably need to work on, you know?
100%. Like
Yeah. And
what
we weren't
happens?
told that when we lost weight. We weren't.
No, because people are just targeting the fat on their bodies. Like they're instead, but the fat on our bodies was never the problem. Like
No,
for
yeah.
me, it was my relationship with food that was the
which stems
problem.
from other things. You know
And
what I mean?
then when I healed my relationship with food, that's when I was able to create long-lasting weight loss. But people
Yeah.
don't even want to do this work. They're just like, tell me what to do to lose weight.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's such a short term. It's never going to stick. That's why dieting doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why, listening to like also intentional, not strict, but like focus of weight loss typically mostly doesn't work because you're just focused on thinning your body. Like there needs to be another focus though. Like you're also working on like yourself and the way you have shaped your life and the life that you've created and like how happy and content you are. And there's conversations that need to happen and not just less food in your mouth, let's just say.
That's good, Josée. That's really good.
The person that sent me that message needs to listen to this podcast. They won't because they don't know a lot
Um,
about us. But you know what
off,
I mean?
off camera, you're gonna have to tell me about this message.
Oh, of course. Um, but it's just like too bad. You know what I mean? It's too bad. And I'd love to educate this person on what we do and how
Yeah,
to do it. But I'm choosing not to because I think that the way that was sent was not in a way of open conversation. It was
yeah,
more, this is what you do, this is not okay,
yeah.
you are damaging.
I
And so
mean,
that was,
like a couple weeks ago, maybe it was a couple months ago, remember there was someone that commented negatively because there wasn't any fruit on my plate or something.
yes,
And it's
that's
like,
the
and I
part.
wanted to explain myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like I wanted to explain myself. And then
yeah,
it's like, oh, no,
yeah.
not productive.
We really learned a lot that time we got attacked on the internet, you guys. 2020 was a really tough year. It was a really tough, 2 weeks, but that was, I
I
just
had a
love
memory.
PTSD.
I had a memory come up on my phone, and there was like a moment where I was like laying on the couch with the kids, and they were
Okay.
all snuggling me, and like that I was in that moment then. Like, and I remember that moment and that photo and how like sad I was and how
So
much
sad.
anxiety I had in my body.
How much anxiety.
And it brought me right
Grow
back.
up. Yeah.
It was
Anyways,
rough.
I think that like what we learned from that experience and it was we had to learn from someone that has had a lot of critic, a lot of, just people judging and throwing shame. And he was like, you will never win. Do not answer any of these messages.
Yeah.
Do not answer. Do stay put. Do
Yeah.
not do anything.
Yeah.
And we decided to listen, which was fucking hard. Do you know how
Yeah.
many like notes I had of like, this is what I would write if I could write? You know what I mean? And he's like, do all the notes. It doesn't matter because your note is not going to change these people. They are enjoying it. It'll pass. It was just like, it'll pass. And it did, but it was so difficult. It was also embarrassing. It was just like, oh my
Remember like waking up and you were like looking for the new comments? Like I think
I was you, and yeah, you do that. I don't. Like I
you
just like
were better than me. I was like, I think eventually I cut myself off, but like I was like, oof.
yeah, I'm more of a like yeah, and it's funny because people wouldn't think that about my personality. I'm an avoider. Like I'm like very much like not even going. I'm not going there because I think people are like, oh, she's but I'm also like,
I think it depends what it is.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
Like
I think if it's in person, shit, I'm out. But if it's online, I'm very much like
you
not.
also don't avoid anything that only involves you. Right? You don't avoid like your thoughts. You don't avoid
Oh
like
yeah,
if it's just about you, it's different. It's like when there's other people involved.
Mhm.
That's more of like, ah,
Yeah. I don't like to answer. I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
I don't love
I
conflict either.
I just no, we don't like conflict, Jeff. I remember being, and I was like, Jeff, how bad is it? He's like, well, now it's turned into, oh my God. Oh my
We
God.
were just trying to
Let's
be
just
fun,
say
live, and
we
help
posted
people.
something and people were not happy with us. And it was like nothing major at all. Like the right people were totally fine with it. And it was a very triggered time. It was May 2020.
It was in the
Everyone was
middle of the pandemic.
miserable. Everyone was miserable and they did not like our joke.
Yeah.
So we just and then it just like rumors like bullshit coming out of people's mouth like and it was like nonstop but then it just all of a sudden done.
I know.
it's like I said this about like there was like a friend of mine that was going through something, and I'm like, look, it's the story right now. There's going to be a divorce soon.
Yeah.
Someone else is going to be on the chopping block. You know what I mean? Like something else is going to be more interesting
Yeah.
because they can only say it once, and they're going to say what they're going to say, and then another story is going to come out. Like, and I'm like, People Magazine is definitely looking for stories because their stories that they come out on there. I think they need to do 10 posts a day. I think that's like what they need to do. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it's insane.
Okay.
And it's just like Jennifer Lopez ate a burger on Tuesday
You're like, wow, this
for
made the cut.
breakfast. For breakfast. Like it's just like, okay, like it's bad. They have nothing to say. And then I like to read the comments of like people that are like, this is where we're at right now. Like so someone's like, I did too. Like, can I have a piece of People magazine? Know what I mean?
Was that actually a story?
No, but it's like something like I think it was that Hailey Bieber had cysts in
Oh,
her whatever, and then people are like,
really?
everyone has that. Like, you know what I mean? But it's because it's Hailey Bieber. So she,
Mm,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But that's the celebrity status thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
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 Remember the guy that ate chicken for a whole month and got this whole big post on like global news, and you and I ate Tim Hortons, and Tim Hortons didn't even want to like say anything about us.
Sad day.
Upset. I'm still upset.
Oh, and when them sending like PR packages to like Canadians and
Yeah.
nothing to us, upset. They just assumed, talking about assuming intentions, they assumed the intentions of our documentary were going to be negative.
Yeah. And all it was eating donuts and telling people to eat them.
And did they watch the
They did
documentary?
not watch the documentary.
I'm upset.
Yeah, their sales went up. They didn't even know.
Do you ever have moments where you like drive by Tim Hortons or like something like triggers? Like the other day, I went to like the worst Tim Hortons, and
Okay.
it's like near Rocky Stone Field where like Alfie plays football.
Yes, I know
So like
exactly
I'm
where it is.
literally the worst Tim Hortons. And I went and I was like, hello, and do you have this? And they were like, oh no, we don't have those anymore. I'm like, well, it's on the photo on the thing. And then do you have this? Oh, we only have one of those. Do you have this? No, I don't.
Remember that time? Remember that time I was so upset because it was like proudly Canadian. Like, you should be proudly serving what's on the menu. That's what should be your new
Like
marketing. Like, it's not too much to ask. Please serve what's on the menu.
no other fast food restaurant, no other fast food restaurant. Do you go and they're like, sorry, we don't have French fries. Sorry, we don't have a
We're gonna
burger.
have a
Sorry,
Big
we don't
Mac.
have chili. Why is their formula different?
I don't know. They have too many things on that menu
Is
and
that
they
what you think it
can't
is?
handle it. They can't handle it. And they keep creating new shit. Imagine if they would have had like the bowls when we would have went, they have bowls and pizza now and like whatever. But I feel like
True.
it needed to happen when it happened that we just ate so many belts and the same thing over and over. Okay, we are done this podcast. Please come and share your thoughts with us on social media. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. That's it.
We
You guys are
appreciate
our
it.
people. We get to like be, I feel like you guys know us definitely more than the people that just follow us on Instagram. The people that listen to our podcast, they probably
Oh,
know us
that's the
live.
inside.
Yeah, inside scoop here. You get the
Yeah.
inside scoop for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, bye, lo.
Okay, bye.